close your eyes closed. Be comfortable in your chair. Take a deep breath. Empty your mind of all your plans for the rest of the day and maybe the rest of this week. Let it all go so you can be fully present here, because God is always in the present moment. The experience of God is always a now moment experience. So Spirit, we are open and receptive now to your presence in each of us, enlightening our minds. We open our mind for your divine input. We open our hearts to be fully present to one another and to ourselves and to these moments. So we give thanks for the blessings in this time together. We claim it in your name and in your nature. Rejoice and know that it is so. And we all say, amen. Thank you all.
Reverend, can I do a housekeeping?
Oh, please do, Kathy. And I'm going to get some water.
Okay, great.
You ladies need any water?
Oh, Matt put one on the side table for you, Sharon.
What?
Matt put one on the table next to you.
Oh, gosh, there it is. Thanks,
Okay.
Kat.
You're welcome. All right, my housekeeping to everybody is I've muted all of you, and I'm going to keep you on mute so we don't have any background noise, but we want you to participate, so make sure you unmute yourself when you want to speak. I can't unmute you, but if I hear background noise, I'll mute you back again. If you mute yourself when you're done speaking, that'll make it even easier. Everybody knows how to mute and unmute? Okay, thank you.
Susie, Susie, do you know how to unmute yourself? Unmute, Susie.
You have to unmute. We can't hear you.
Find the...
Do you see your picture, where your picture is? There's like a microphone. Click,
Find the microphone.
click unmute.
Mute. All right. Can you hear me
There
now?
you are.
Yeah.
You did it. You
Thank
did
you.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, good. How's Howard?
Good. Better each day. We're expecting, hopefully, that he gets kicked out this afternoon. So if the phone rings, I'll have to go. And thank you all for your prayers. He's
Yeah.
great.
He had some serious heart surgery.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
But he's doing okay.
He's doing good. Hey, there's Darlene. Okay. So take a moment, all of you, and set an intention for our time today. I like when I do this, I like to say, okay, I'm going to be fully present. I'm going to catch my mind if it starts wandering and come back. Or it might be, your intention might be, I'm gonna make a point of sharing today. But whatever comes to your mind as something that would be meaningful and helpful to you for our time today, please set that intention in your heart right now. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm wondering, are there any questions come up for any of you between last time we talked and today regarding our material? Sig. Unmute. No questions?
No questions. I'm enjoying the book, though. I got it on Kindle and I got it on my tablet, and I have voiceover, so they read it to me.
Oh, great.
Very enjoyable.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Great, fabulous. Thank you for that. Jan, you had a comment?
I have a comment. I am impressed by the ways of God and how as I keep my life open that I'm just exactly where I'm supposed to be. I didn't realize that this class gets right in where I am in my life. Going through a divorce, and I'm hoping that the house will stay half, at least half mine. A home. I still need a home. And this class is so perfect.
Oh, good.
I'm so
Great.
glad to be here.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to have you. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. Did you all hear Jan? That what she said is this class is perfect for where she's at right now and the circumstances of her life, right? So it's helping her and supporting her heart's desires. Hi, Karen. Okay. Anyone else? Questions come up or a comment you want to make before we launch here? Okay, then. Going, gone. Do I need to go back to the reading? You all got from Kathy, she sent out to you all of the slides, so you should have this, the reading schedule. So today, what the slides will show, what I want to cover is up to page 57 in the book. So if you have the book, I'm going to have some quotes on the slides. You may want to go to the book to see the context, but we're only going up to 57 today.
I thought it was 88, and I was in a rush to finish.
So you're good, you're good.
Show up.
Can
Yeah,
I say something?
Yeah, see.
On the Kindle, it doesn't have page number, so I don't know where you are. So
Okay, I didn't bring my book in with me, but it is,
Do you want to look at it?
it was, just let me know what chapter 57 starts with. Hang on. 57, yeah.
57 is in the law of visualization.
The law of
But
visualization,
it actually starts on page 49.
so we're going up to where the law of visualization begins.
that still doesn't tell me anything. What chapter?
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Okay, I'm fine then.
Good, good. Okay, oops, let me get. Okay, so I'm going to start today with, hang on, a place where we were last time. And is this where I want to start? Yes. So we got to this slide last week, but I wanted to go back to it today to have you reflect for a moment on what have you changed your mind about that has made a positive difference. What have you changed your mind about?
I try not to use the word but anymore.
So,
Because, you know, I would say, well, I would like to do so and so, but, and I try not to use that word anymore.
what does it do? I hope you all heard Darlene. She said she's trying not to use the word but anymore. I want to go on a safari to Africa, but I don't have the money.
It always puts a block in front of you.
It sure does. It sure does.
Good one.
Thank you. Anybody else? What have you changed your mind about that has made a positive difference?
This is Eileen. I also have tried not to say the word only, which is something that he says in the first chapter. I can do this, but only this. And so I'm trying to be a little bit more cognizant of the words and how I say things.
What happens when you use the word only?
It's very limiting about what you can have or how much you can have or whatever. So it's something to really think hard about before you make a statement.
Great, great. Anybody else? Jody?
You are precious to me, Sharon, because you call on me because you know I always have something to say.
Know that.
Oh, yes. But I'm getting really good at waiting my turn, you know? Yes, what I have changed is that when something is going on, no matter what it is, I think about, or I'm attempting to remember that everything matters and everything doesn't really matter, and that I get to decide if it matters. And so what I've changed that's working for me is not letting things matter so much in the old way that I used to make things matter. It's like, well, I can really let that go pretty easy if I decide to, or I can just stay open to whatever it is. So that's what's going on for me. It really matters and it really doesn't, all at the same time. That yin and the yang and the, you know, life can be more interesting when you can see that it's your decision, you know?
Yes, yes, thank you, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody sitting in here?
This is Kathy.
Kathy?
I have stopped watching news. I get the news briefly on my phone, gives me a headline. If it's something that I think is important and pertains to me, I then I research it on the internet, cutting out all of the interpretation from the negativity of the news.
Great, great, great. I'm with you on that one. Oh, Kathy said she has stopped watching the news. If on her phone, if she sees a headline that she thinks pertains to her, she'll go after it. But otherwise, she's not listening. She's not letting all that news of negativity come in. Great. Anybody else? The thing that came to me is there's something I'm working on right now, and see if you can relate to this. I am out looking for a house to buy. I've been renting and I would love to have my own home, so I can do what I want to it, paint it, do whatever. And so I've been out looking for the last, oh gosh, probably a month. And a couple that I liked went into contract. That's another story about, you know, timing and realtors and whatnot. But anyway, I'm working on this. If God wanted me to have a house, if God wants me to have a house, and the God in me is ready for a house, I'm gonna find it. And so to just release this, I've got to have a house, or trying to make myself settle for a house. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So what I noticed as I noticed that is that other things or other thoughts, other ways of perceiving that I have changed, oftentimes took some time and trying and failing at it before I really decided that's it, I'm done. So just reflect on that. I mean, the harder the change was, the longer it took. For example, the one that comes up for me is my daughter. You know, I had expectations of my daughter and how I wanted our relationship, and it wasn't going that way. And so every time something happened, every time she did something, said something, didn't do something, keep a commitment, I would, my heart would hurt. And I thought, no, I cannot do that. But it took a while of having my heart hurt and getting mad before I finally, and I prayed about it all the time, prayed about it. And finally, that expectation was totally removed from me. And I claimed the grace of God in that. Because of myself, obviously, it wasn't happening. So what have you changed your mind about? Because as we grow spiritually, we're changing. So it's a good thing to notice the changes.
I think one of the big things for
Speak
me,
up because they want to go to a.
one of the big things for me is finally getting it that God's timing is perfect. Because there'd be something I'd want, and then it wasn't that I was just giving it to God, but then I was spelling out what God ought to know in order to be able to do what I want. I mean, I could just feel myself getting, trying to push it along. So when you talk about the thing with the house, I had a property that I sold in Chicago, an apartment there, and I wanted to buy a property here. And the deal fell apart 3 times. And the third time it did, that was the end of my opportunity. So that meant my first thing was, oh no, I'm going to have to pay those capital gains tax. But right after that was when the whole quarantine thing just rippled across, not just the United States, but across the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that came out the thing, and this was going to be an income property, so I was going to rent it out. Right after that came out, you can't evict anybody, and even people who had money who could pay the rent said, I'm not going to pay it. Other people aren't. I don't have to, And I thought, wow, once again, God had my back.
I hear you.
So I went back to that. God's timing is perfect. Now, it used to take me years to wrestle with God about something. Now it comes faster.
Yeah.
I even in the midst of it, I can say, thank you, God, because I know that somehow God has my back.
Exactly. I hope you all heard Maya. Were you able to hear her? Yes? No? Yes?
Some of
it.
3 sentences, because I always take more words. And that's
Anybody else? Susie, do you have anything to say?
I have something to say, Judy. Sharon, I was thinking,
Judy.
as you were waiting for things to happen, a lot of my things that have happened with me is like a feeling of being swept along. It's like they show up before I consider, almost before I consider it. There's an answer there. And I've had that happen, quite a lot.
So what kind of adjustment did you make?
Well, in assessing whether I should do something or not do it, I really, it's a feeling I get in my gut. It's like yes or no. And I'm try to be very cognizant of which it is. And sometimes it's, wait a minute, so I really try to make what I would term the right choices.
Yes.
And try to see how I can.
Those intuitive hunches that you have come to trust, huh?
Yeah.
Come to trust your gut feelings or your intuition.
Yeah.
Great. Susie, did you unmute yet?
Yes, I just did, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I've been working for 5 years on forgiveness, and I've been working much longer than 5 years, but on this particular situation and some others. So I think I'm finally ready. So this one couple that we had in our life for 45 years that hurt us. Anyway, I have to write her a note and
Right.
it's okay. Anyway, they don't understand, but we don't have to rehash it, but I'm ready to let it go. And from February 23rd, 2020, in Daily Word, that page helped me so much, but I had to call Unity yesterday because I can't find that page. I want to see it again. And there's another copy because I gave it away. So it's about forgiveness, but people don't have to be part of your life. So just release it and let it go on. But I do have to explain some things to them, but it's good. And I'll feel good about it when I write it, which I will do in the next day or so. So
Great.
that's where I am. And
Yeah,
I know
some things take longer than others, as we were saying, especially for those deep hurts, huh? In terms of forgiveness. Yeah. I've told this story a number of times, but I'll say it once more because it applies here. In terms of forgiving my ex-husband and his lawyer, I had to pray for both of them for a long time, every night, wishing for them all the good things I wish for myself. And I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyhow. And finally, there was that magic moment when the button wasn't there anymore. When I thought about either of them, I didn't feel sad or mad. So that remedy of praying for another person, that you feel any sense of separation from, is spiritually magnificent. It always works. So hang on, Sig. Someone here had their hand up, Pat.
The more I turn to God, the more faith I have, the more knowledgeable I feel. And fear, I have more confidence in myself.
Great.
It's just the relationship I have with God is so much better.
And what is it that deepened your faith?
What deepens it?
What deepened your faith?
The things that I fear and want, even though I'm scared sometimes, and I don't feel like I have much faith, I see it turning out okay. And I always thought I have to have all this faith before God's going to do what, help me out. And I find out He'll help me with my fears. He'll help me with my being afraid.
Exactly. When you turn it over to Him, right?
Yes, when I turn it over to Him.
Did y'all hear that? That was a good one. Didn't hear it? Oh gosh. I don't know what we can do about that. A little bit, yeah. So we have to almost scream in here. So what Pat said was, when she turned her fears over to God and thought about something else,
More faith, not being so afraid.
she found that things turned out, that her fear went away, so to speak, and faith grew because she noticed when she turned it over to God.
And I've been raised, if I didn't have faith, for some reason, God wasn't going to answer my prayers. And I find out that God helps me with my faith.
Yes. God helps her with her faith. Great.
I think that's almost like cleaning out your own closet.
Yeah.
If you can get rid of things and get rid of thoughts and stuff, you feel so much lighter and so much better.
It is like cleaning out your closet physically, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's also a spiritual practice. If you want to clean up your mind, clean up your drawers in your closet.
I guess I thought I had to be just perfect before He was going to answer my prayers.
Yeah. Here's what Pat said.
That's what we were taught.
Exactly.
So often we were taught that way. That He was standing behind the corner just waiting.
I wasn't good enough.
Thank you. Karen has her hand up.
Yeah, one of the changes that I've done and I'm still working on is belief in abundance rather than scarcity.
Say that again, Karen.
My belief in abundance rather than scarcity.
Yeah.
In this time, that has been an outstanding lesson for me. From toilet paper to salt and sugar and anything that comes up. Sometimes things I can't get that online, or or something like that. Amazing. It turns out.
Yes.
And I have everything I need. So I'm moving from that belief in scarcity to abundance.
And this is important. How have you moved from the scarcity thoughts to no scarcity thoughts?
I won't say I have no scarcity. I will say I'm in the process and doing fairly well.
And what are you doing to do fairly well?
Observing.
Observing? Good.
Observing results.
Results of?
When God provides, it's like, oh yeah, I've got, oh yeah.
You've got what you need.
One more time.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Jan?
I just didn't quite get it. Yesterday, that I stayed home and cleaned my house. I was just had to get my house clean. I couldn't let anything else interfere. And I realize now what a spiritual thing that was to do.
Yes.
To organize and get rid of the dirt and stand back and smile. And it did make me feel good. And now I know, after listening to this class, this members, why that does.
It does. So what Jan said is that yesterday she stayed home and cleaned her house. And what a difference that has made, because the realization today sitting here is that that was a spiritual activity, because she noticed that she was smiling and happier after cleaning her house. It felt good. Always feels good to do the right thing. Yeah. Sigrid, were you going to say something, Sigrid?
Yeah, I was going to say, when you forgive, the key point is not to see a change in the person you're forgiving, because they won't change until they want to. So it's an inner thing with yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You read over and over, when you forgive others, you're forgiving yourself.
Yes. What Pat said is, when you forgive others, you are actually forgiving yourself for doing or not doing, for believing or not believing, whatever it is that hurt your heart, right? Or caused the block. Okay. Are we ready to move on? Yeah. All right. Whoa. So it says, this is a quote from a book, page 9, our book. God can do no more for you than God can do through you. That's a very potent thought, isn't it?
It is. You know,
Darlene.
I made a comment that when I'm reading the book, I'm reading what's there, but I change it around to say God can do no more for me than God can do through me. So I try to change it and not make it general, just make it me.
What does that do?
Well, it's more meaningful to me,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Uh-huh.
and it's my responsibility.
Yes. Yes. It's like awakening something in you, right? Oh, me.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's very good.
Yeah. Anybody else out there, you online, want to make a comment about God can do no more for you than God can do through you, Jody?
I think you asked us this question last week, and I think I commented on it. So I'm not having, I just want to stay open, you know, always stay open for my own personal connection, so that she, the energy can be with me and work through me.
Great. Anybody else right here? Okay. Hang on. pause here for a moment. So looking here, I think we covered this one too, didn't we?
No.
No? Let me back up then. Let me see where I am. Oh, let me go back a minute. I wanted to pause here for a moment. One thing, we did this last week, but I wanted to just stop here today too. One thing that economists agree on is that business conditions always tend to reflect the level of confidence of the people. So I want, my invitation right now is that we each check the level of our confidence. And well, I could say God, I could say on your health, given our current environment, the confidence of divine protection or in divine protection, confidence, Karen, you spoke to this, confidence that everything you need will be provided or is being provided right now. So any comments there, anything come to you today? Oh, I wrote down in my notes, I wrote down, what have you been, if you reflect on the nature of your thoughts, oh, let's say in the last few days, what have you been putting your faith in? Because what we think about, we are putting our faith in. The thoughts that we hold are whether we believe it or not, we're putting the energy of our faith in. Because we know that what we think about, we're going to bring about if we keep thinking it. And it's almost instantaneous. The quality of our thinking, think about this, the quality of our thinking affects the kind of energy that we experience. The quality of our thinking affects how we feel.
This is Kathy.
Yeah.
I'll mention something that happened to me recently, and that's I didn't turn off the news 2 weekends ago when the riots all started, and I was just grieving. I was so sad about what I was seeing about the destruction going on, the businesses and people's livelihood being destroyed and people being destroyed. It just really got to me. And over that weekend, I got sick. I got physically sick. I was crying and I felt fluish and I was running a temperature, so that I had to go get a COVID test, and I'm negative. But it was, as I watched the news, I could feel my body getting sick.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, the folks in here in the classroom are saying yes. Sig is saying yes. Yeah, thanks, Kat. Anybody else comment on this? Okay.
Several times I've thought about it, you listened about the coronavirus on that, and all of a sudden I get to having all the symptoms, and I go take my temperature, and then I ask God to keep me well.
Yeah, oh, wow, huh? So Pat was agreeing with you, Kathy.
Yeah.
You know, the more she listened to the news about the virus, the sicker she felt, and
Yeah,
she would take her temperature.
maybe as long as my temperature is okay, I can fill out.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, going on here. So here we are, page 27. The important truth is you are a spiritual being and the allness of the infinite within you. Get your mind off the idea of making a demonstration in life. Center your awareness on a deeper sense of life, and the demonstration will begin to make you. So what, for you, give a little reflection time here. A deeper sense of life, what would that look like or feel like for you? What would you be experiencing? What would you be thinking if you had a deeper sense of life?
So if we go back to watching TV again and seeing what's going on, you know, it's very irritating to me also about everything that's been destroyed and stuff, but I keep in my mind that something positive is going to occur because of this. So I try to look at the positive rather than the negative.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I accept,
Yeah.
you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
But I try to look down the road.
And excellent, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's believing that God is in it, that some good, which we say God is, the principle of absolute good, that God is in this too, and something good must happen. Karen?
And I absolutely agree with that. Being a recovering alcoholic, I always refer back to the big book and the paragraph that says there are no mistakes in God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I was the director and knew it all or something like that. But this center your awareness on a deeper sense of life, for me, goes back to the 5 principles. And the first principle. That's where it goes to me. And it stayed with me since I read it. It moved me so completely. That the deeper sense of life is, in reality, God is all, and God is in me, and we are all one. I have a little problem politically, and I'm working on it.
Thank you. Yes. So a deeper sense of life is the first principle, which is the first principle in unity, which is, who wants to tell me? The first principle in unity. We say it every Sunday. Class.
There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, omnipotent.
Susie. Was that you, Susie?
This is Kathy.
Oh, it was Kathy. Okay. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe, God the good. There's only one presence and one power active in my life, God the good. And that helps that sense of all is going to be well.
And there is order and purpose. It's not chaos. It's not doom.
Good, great. Any of you out there in the ethers want to make a comment?
This is Eileen. One thing that I have learned in the last few years is that when things are maybe not going the way you think they should, I always reflect and say, okay, how does this serve me? So like with the COVID-19, I said that to myself, how does this serve me? And my answer to that was that it causes me to go within myself rather than out, because I'm here sequestered. And so I have to sit and think more with myself and be with myself and put out those kind of thoughts that are positive for my life to bring changes for the good. And so I'm thankful for this now, that I've had this time to really be here and be with myself and be with my spiritual practices. It's really helped me a lot.
Great, thank you, thank you. Anybody else out there in the ethers? No. Okay, great. Well, I still want to stay here a minute and say, centering your awareness or my awareness on a deeper sense of life and trusting that the demonstration will begin to make you whatever the demonstration is. So if I, for example, have thoughts of not enough money for something, this principle tells me, be more generous and you'll have more. More will come to you, and that's absolutely the truth, isn't it? Yeah. So reflect now for a moment on what energizes you, what gives you good energy, beside good thoughts. But are there things that you can do that energize you, that give you a greater sense of life?
Definitely meditation.
Jan says meditation. Absolutely, thanks. Who else?
My art,
Your art.
creating.
Yeah, Karen is a sculptress. And so what gives her life is working in her gift, her art. Who else?
Helping,
Helping?
helping.
Darlene says helping gives her a good energy. You know that, Jody.
I think singing does too, because it lifts your spirit when you vocalize that vibration within you. It's like it just makes me happy to sing.
Oh, do you sing in a choir?
No, I used to, but there really hasn't been one recently for me to be a part of. And so I just put on some music and try to sing with that.
Oh, would you like to hum a few bars for us? Thank you.
Would you like to tap dance on the moon with me? Would you like to share a macaroon with me? It's come to my attention that I just like to mention that I love you.
Bravo, bravo. I loved it. What a great song. Ooh, that gave me chills. Thank you. Who else?
Hi, it's Kathy. Nature, cats, dogs, they always make me happy.
Yeah, I've watched Kathy with pets. And when dogs come into the church, she turns into a puddle. A puddle of, oh, aren't you so cute? I love it. I love watching it. Anybody else? No. Okay, I'm moving on then. We did that one. Don't you love this peacock?
Yes.
You know, I look at a peacock in full bloom, and how amazing God is to create something so precisely magnificent. This makes me think. Okay, I love this one. This was something that was in Anne Lamott's book, Bird by Bird. The Gulf Stream will flow through, I think we've done this one too. The Gulf Stream will flow through a straw, provided the straw is aligned with the Gulf Stream and not at cross purposes to it. So the idea there is, what is the idea there, y'all? What? What would block the straw? Defenses, yes. Yes.
Well, you have to be open. You have to be open to what can come through.
Yes.
Open to the flow instead of fighting it, because that's my big thing. I'm always,
Yeah.
show it, right?
And Maya says open to what, Maya?
Open to the flow
Open to the flow
of whatever.
of whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of fighting it.
Instead of fighting what is, let it be.
I think the words that were mentioned earlier, but and I can't remember the other one, are defenses that would clog the straw.
Yes. Yes. But clogs the straw.
And sometimes I think your own ego too. I know that when I went through the Reiki training, that knowing that the I open myself to the power that comes from God to help with the healing rather than thinking, oh, I'm doing it.
You know, that's a beautiful example, isn't it, of what Maya said, open to the flow. So I don't know if you heard Darlene, but she does Reiki. And so when you're doing Reiki, you just open yourself, imagine yourself almost as a straw, right? That the energy divine is flowing through you to heal. Yeah. That's kind of a good metaphor whenever, right? Whenever. Anybody else on this one? What would clog the straw?
I was just
I
gonna,
had an idea, and it was about love. Like when I was reading this over and over, it's like love is what I want to focus on and remember. And what would clog the straw would be if it's not love. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Beautiful. That keeps it simple, huh? It's not love. I'm not doing it. Great. Anybody else?
I just wanted to make one quick comment that I'd like it to be a pipe instead of a straw, because straw so little that I want to have a lot flowing instead of just a teeny bit.
Repeat it.
Eileen was saying rather than a straw, she likes to think of it as a pipe, right?
A big pipe.
A big pipe. I love it. Yes. Great. Oh, gosh. You know, all this is fine and good, but what comes to me is we have to act on it too, right? Act on it. And so what came to my mind is I make a point of communicating that love, because the more it's moving through us, the more it can move through us. Or wait, the more it moves through us, the more there is to move through us. So this morning, I'm thinking about my son, and I just sent him, I was out for a little run this morning, and I'm thinking about him and how much I love him. And so what came to me was roses are red, violets are blue. We all know that one, right? Roses are red, violets are blue. Some suns are amazing, but most especially you. So I texted that to him, and it made me happy. So, you know, Jody, when you talk about love, you know, the more we love, the better we feel, yeah? At least for me.
Yeah.
The more I express it, the happier I am, and I hope I'm making a difference in someone else's life. Okay.
I think that's not the greatest emotion there is love.
It is. Pat saying the greatest thing is love. Absolutely. Most powerful energy. We didn't do this one, did we? Your prosperity and success and your good fortune certainly may be influenced by changing conditions, but even then, deepening upon how you deal with them. What do you think about that? Yeah, well, here's what he's saying. Your prosperity and success and fortune may be influenced by changing conditions, like, you know, I just got my inheritance, or got a gift from somebody, my prosperity and success, or I just got a promotion and my good fortune may be influenced by changing conditions. For example, the interest rate on homes is getting a loan on a home is as low as it'll probably ever get. That's a changing condition. But what he's saying is, but it'll even deepen depending upon how I deal with the condition. So, for example, one of the people I coach texted me this morning that she just put in her resignation, which was a long time coming because she does not like her job. So she feels so good about it because she's interpreting the conditions now as opening a new life to her. Follow me?
Yeah.
What is that?
Not lower.
Is it right out here? Okay. Thank you, Darlene.
They're probably blowing stuff around.
Peace is restored. Yeah. Okay, so any comments, any more comments about this? It was on page 33 in the text.
Well, that could be on the coronavirus too, that, you know, the changes and being allowed to be open now, how you deal with it is going to determine whether or not the virus is, you know, spreading more or you're part of that process or not.
Yes, thanks. That was Darlene talking about how do we handle the news and the changing conditions regarding the virus. And it's God is in this too, and God is in me. Okay, I'm moving on.
I'm thinking of the saying, life is not about stopping the rain, but dancing in the rain, but learning to dance in the rain.
Oh, I love that.
Repeat it.
Yeah.
Say it again, Nancy, please.
Life is not about learning to stop the rain, but learning how to dance in the rain.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's
Thank you,
not
Nancy.
original with me. It's not original with me. I heard it somewhere.
It's a good one. It's a keeper.
Yes, it
Have you
is.
been here? Have you been here this whole time, Nancy?
Yes, I have.
Oh, girlfriend. Well, what do you have to say about everything we've covered so far then?
It's all very interesting. I'm thinking that with regard to the protests and all, and George Floyd's death, we crucified Christ, we killed Martin Luther King, we have killed a lot of God's messengers, but good has come from all of it. And I'm thinking that good will come from this too.
Yes. We have to hold to that, and if we hold to it, it will be so.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nancy.
Could you briefly say what you said?
Oh, yeah, Karen didn't hear. What Nancy said was that in terms of the coronavirus, what's going on out there, the conditions, and the murder of George Floyd, she's holding to the fact, and this has to do with that quote, holding to the fact that something good is going to come from it, and something good is already in some way.
Yeah, we're seeing good coming out of it.
Yeah. And she had mentioned, you know, people crucified Christ, and Martin Luther King was assassinated, Robert Kennedy was assassinated, John F. Kennedy. You know, we've done some stuff as human beings, and some good has come out of it. Arlene, I'm so glad to see you there, Arlene Vavra. Welcome. Anything you want to say, Arlene?
Thank you, but no comment.
Okay. Arlene, I love you.
Thank you. I love you all too. You're all in my prayers, believe me.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Prayers are good. Okay, onward and upward. Butterflies. Transformation, a symbol of transformation. So this is from page 55. As you diligently work to think positive thought, speak the constructive word, and hold the creative success images in mind, your whole life will vibrate with the dynamic power of prosperity. Our whole life will vibrate. Woo! Sig is vibrating.
Our whole world will sparkle and vibrate.
Yes, yes. What do you think about that? Anybody?
I think the key word is diligent.
Diligence, yes.
As you diligently work, it's diligent, it's steadfast, you know.
Consistent. Searching, seeking. Yeah,
Open, willing.
great, great. Who else? Anybody else make a comment here? No? All right then. Let me look at my notes to see if I had any questions. Ah, okay. So I had a couple comments about this quote. As you diligently work to think the positive thought, etc. I've said this on Sunday, and I've said it, I don't know if it was in this class, it might have been Adam Smashing, that a suggestion I made was to create 3 affirmations for yourself that make you vibrate with good energy, that you can pull out of your wallet or your pocketbook or your pocket when your thoughts begin to go down the tubes. You know, when I begin judging by appearances, or I notice my emotions are not healthy or helpful, I've got my 3 affirmations that I say, or at least one, because when you let go of one thought, you've just created a vacuum in your consciousness, because every thought has life, substance, and intelligence. And thoughts do what they are. So if I let go of a negative thought that has just taken up space because it's got substance in my consciousness and probably the cells of my body, I let it go, but I must fill that vacuum or it's going to come back. Because you know what the adage is, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. So 3 affirmations. Should I make that an assignment, y'all?
Yeah.
That was Karen, yes. 3 affirmations. One of them that I have been saying, and I say all 3 of them 3 times every morning these days. I am a dazzling expression of life and love, blessing myself and others. Yeah. I want to be a vibrant expression of life and love to bless myself and to bless others. So see if you can't create 3 affirmations that really energize you, make you feel good.
Can we plagiarize?
Of course. Of course. Okay, any comments, questions? No? All right then. Eric uses the word syntropy. Well, he refers to entropy and syntropy. So syntropy, you see, is the opposite of entropy. And what's entropy? It is the principle of the disintegration into lower levels of organization. It's dissipation. So you know how flowers wilt and die? How leaves lose whatever makes them green, whatever gives them life, and turn chlorophyll and turn different colors and fall off the tree. That's entropy. The opposite of that is syntropy, the tendency to higher forms of organization and innate drive in living matter to perfect itself. Oh, hi, Maria.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late.
You're here. That's the important thing. You're just in time.
Okay.
We're talking about the principle of syntropy, which is a wonderful thing to contemplate, isn't it? And it's the truth. I mean, it's scriptural that the Christ in us is that innate drive to perfect itself, to grow, to seek.
Uh-huh.
So Jesus said, you shall be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. What he was predicting. It wasn't like a command, he was predicting. You shall be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. You and I shall be, if we keep on the path and keep with the practice, we got to know that we are being perfected, which means, what do you think that means, to be perfected?
Renewed, regenerated into better health in every area, in every dimension.
So bettered in every dimension. Physical, mental, emotional,
Spiritual.
experientially.
To use all that we have within us, to the best of our ability.
So being perfected, Darlene, is offering to use all the good that we have within us. And what came after?
To use and develop all of our goodness within us, to be able to use that goodness.
To be able to use and express the goodness that is within us. George Bernard Shaw, the playwright George Bernard Shaw said, I want to be totally used up when my life is done. That is no withholding, no withholding, no hiding from myself. Any comments here? Any other comments? Put on your creative thinking caps.
I'm thinking about it in the way that perfecting myself is trusting that everything that's coming to me, everything is for my own benefit, and for that growth and perfecting. I truly don't like that word perfect much anymore. Excellence sounds better to me. But as I'm striving for excellence, just using and paying attention to everything that's coming to me, because it's providing, I want to believe that it's providing whatever I need, the experience or the people, etc.
Great, great. Thank you, Jody. Thank you. Who else? Comment on that innate drive and what perfect might look like. Anything that comes to your mind about either of these two words, entropy or syntropy. So given syntropy as this innate drive to perfect itself, how does that relate to dealing with the circumstances outside of us right now?
I think re-examining some of our thoughts and our behaviors, and seeing how we can perfect them to better use.
Great. Great. Did you all hear her, Darlene? Darlene, loud and clear.
See if I can think of it.
I know. Once it's said,
Yeah, we don't have ideas. Just re-examining our own beliefs and behaviors, and perfecting them more, that we can be more of a positive change in our own lives and those around us. Is that
well said, well said. Now would you repeat it using the first using the first person?
Yeah. Can you get the idea? Good.
Yeah. I watched
examining my thoughts, my behaviors, my upbringing, and changing or perfecting a new set of beliefs and behaviors and so forth.
Good job.
Very good.
Good job.
That's my final
That was the winner right there. Yeah. Did any of you watch last night Gayle King on CBS? Facilitated or led a program called, was it Justice for All? And she really jumped into deeply the idea of racism and how subtle it can be. And how, and it came out of George Floyd's murder. But it has garnered, that murder, that experience has garnered so much attention. And her program interviewed a professor from Harvard, a police captain, the police captain in New York or Minneapolis. It was an outstanding program. If you can go back and find it somewhere, it's worth watching. But as we talked about, that innate drive of living matter to perfect itself, is racism a step forward in perfecting us? Is racism a step forward in perfecting us?
No. Racism,
It depends on how you look at it.
the attention it's getting now is pushing it forward.
Yes.
There have been groups for the last 40 years that have been trying to change the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been like their whole passion. And they get a little traction and slide back. Now all of a sudden, everything that's working, the positive stuff that's happening in the criminal justice system is coming to the surface. And collectively, these things are starting to make a difference. So for me, that's where my thoughts go. I was worried about my grandson because he's a police officer in Michigan City, Indiana, and I saw that there was demonstrations going on there. And so I just prayed and kind of turned it over. And of course, he knows, my grandson, his father, my son had said, was you and all your talk about about criminal justice, and then now he's a police officer, that kind of saying it playfully, but nevertheless jabbing me. Yeah, I worry about him. So anyway, I just kind of turned him over to God, and within a minute, the phone rang, and it was Danny, my grandson.
Aww.
And I said, so tell me about the demonstration in Michigan City, Indiana. And he said, our captain told us to stand down and use our community policing tactics to engage people in conversation and listen to them.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah. So
very touching.
We have these cities that, go in there and crush them and drag them off to, all that kind of thing. But what's also popping up out of this, I don't know, I have the image of springtime when flowers pop up, but the popping up out of it is where these different places where they're doing things that are making a difference. And people are hearing it, So it's not that it hasn't been going on, but it's getting attention, like you said. The thing that you watched yesterday is a great example.
Yes. Great example of monitoring our own thoughts and words about what is and isn't. Well, Jody said excellence. What isn't an expression of the absolute goodness of God or of love, or
I wanted
some form of love, compassion, and justice at the same time.
I wanted to add to the comments about Gail's show last night, Justice for All. I was really touched by the professor from the university who said he did not wear contacts, but wore the round rim nerdy glasses because people would not be afraid of him with the glasses, But if he were a black man without the glasses, people would be afraid of him. And it made me think of all the students that I've had and how their lives must have been affected. And I never realized that they walked in fear. And I'm so sorry that I didn't recognize that. Because, you know, we accepted one another in our classes. There was no, you know, there was no racism there. But they did experience it in their lives out on the streets, I'm sure. And still probably do.
Thank you, Nancy. That was very poignant. He was a Harvard graduate, and was he the one that was the bird watcher, and that woman with the dog, Nancy?
Oh, yeah, that was.
And
I think he was. I think he was.
And a woman in Central Park had her dog off the leash, and this black man he's a birder, he's a bird watcher. So he was there, and the law is you don't let your dog off a leash in Central Park, apparently. And so he said to her, would you please put your dog on the leash? And she retorted, you know, I don't know, something about.
She turned on the phone and called the police and said, I'm being accosted, I'm being threatened. And she was by a black man. And none of the things she said were true.
No.
Right.
Yeah, she called the police on him.
Yeah.
And
she was living in fear.
He was using his phone to take pictures of her.
Right.
And she said, stop it.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what set her off to call the police. He was taking a picture of her with her dog not on a leash. And she was acting like she was being tortured on the phone with the police. So that's pretty, comes out of fear, of course, but it is a prejudice.
Do you know, I think that all of this is the lancing of a boil. It may have to be lanced again. But the boil is not just about people of different color. It's about many things.
Yes.
It's about many, many things. We have homophobia. We have prejudice against people that are born with mental disabilities. Our prejudices are just basic.
Yeah. We have sexism. We have, you know, ageism.
Yeah.
There are just, no matter what it is that you are, there are people out there that object, you know.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could cure it all with love. But it seems that it's necessary to put some pretty strong Tabasco sauce on things.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Karen, we're talking in here about the pervasive prejudice against disabled, against the aged, against you name it. And there, as Maya said, there'll be somebody who doesn't like it. And so Karen said, if we would just pour love on all of it, would that heal it? And maybe it's tough love. We all know about tough love, right? Tough love. Well, in Unity, we talk about it. I mean, it's been written about that love without wisdom can make mistakes.
Yeah. It can be hurtful.
And wisdom without love can be harsh. So you got to have them married. The marriage made in heaven is love and wisdom. Any comments? Out there in the ethers, any comments?
I watched Oprah last night, and she interviewed several of the Black people, and the stories that they told would just break your heart with the fear that they live in. Excellent program, if you can look it up on now.
Who's speaking?
Arlene.
Oh, Arlene. Hi, Arlene. Would you talk a little louder? The folks here in the classroom can't hear.
I watched Oprah last night, and she was interviewing Black people, and the fear that they live in would just break your heart. It's an excellent program. I think you could get it on demand. She was on for, I think, over an hour last night. Oprah.
Yeah. Thank you. Oprah, I didn't watch her. Okay, any other comments? Thanks, Arlene. Any other comments?
Well, I liked what you said about the wisdom, because it's so easy to, but every one of us have had experiences of being discriminated against for some reason we have all felt it, the pain of it. And when wisdom comes into it, then it's easier for it to go out to other people. But without the wisdom, sometimes it just turns into, well, they did it to me and I'll do it to somebody else, kind of thing. So for me, wisdom was times when I could look at myself and say, have I ever done that?
Yeah.
Have I ever been so frightened of somebody that the way I treated them wasn't fair? Whatever it is, to ask myself, have I ever done that or felt that way or acted that way? There was some wisdom somewhere along the way in my healing that made it possible for me to do that. Because I wasn't always that way.
Perfected, little by little, step by step. Anybody else out there want to comment right now? Let me see if I've got something else for us today. Oh, yeah. The law of visualization. Let me just. So the law of visualization, he talks about in the reading that you'll be doing for the coming week. How do you like that picture, y'all? Isn't it? I don't know what it is. I mean, I know this is a horse, but I found it and I thought, oh my God, that's so interesting. Anyway, huh? So, yeah, just a different perspective on the horses, and it's all about perspective, isn't it? All about perspective. What side of the circle are you on? So Jesus said, "Don't judge by appearances." Eric Butterworth said, "To set it right, see it right. To set it right, see it right."
Can I question that?
Please.
Because I come in here with a heavy thinking, heavy feeling about leadership, our leadership, and what I am perceiving as poison reflected in a number of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle with seeing it in a better light.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take any help I could get in that. I walked into our employee cafeteria and there was a certain television station on, and I felt nauseated. I wanted to change it. And I thought, see, didn't affect that station, didn't affect anybody else. I'm the one that walked out with the crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, I carry a lot of that. Listening to responses and things. You can tune it out, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Help!
So I don't know if you all heard Karen, but she was saying, she was asking about this idea of to set it right, see it right, and how she looks at some of our leaders and has a hard time seeing them in a positive light, in any kind of
poison.
She sees them as poison. And so she says, well, then how, I mean, really, can I ever see this right, or should I see it right? I mean, should I see it differently? Would it help me to see it differently? Would it help anybody else if I could see it differently? What do you think, y'all?
Well, my response to that is a-
Wait. Hang on. Maya, you go first, and then Jan. Maya.
What I think about is that each of us ends up with
Talk
our-
loud because they can't hear.
And each one of us ends up with our own way to see something different that brings some healing or some peace.
What do you do?
Well, some of the things I mentioned before, it's like just going inside and saying, have I ever done that? Have I ever acted that way? Have I, and the answer is always yes. Not once have I ever been able to say, no, I've never done that, So I don't know, it's the advantage to being a horrible sinner for so long. I don't know what it is. So I don't know that there's one way that everybody's going to see it. I would tell you, some of the things that I do is keep taking a person that I have a lot of venom towards and placing that person lovingly in God's arms. And just letting it go and trusting that God will lead them just like I was led. Some of the terrible things that happened in my life led me to the path out to a new way of seeing and thinking about it.
Good. Did you ladies hear that? Oh, good. Okay. Jan.
Well, first of all, I guess I put my hand up too quickly because now I'm left with 32 different comments. Would you mind defining a little bit more what you said? I didn't quite get it. Oh.
Reverend
Oh,
Shan isn't coming through.
President is spreading poison. And I think that there's many others helping him do that. And perpetuating the scars in our nation. And when I come across that, I'm the one that walks away. I carry the crap with me. It's not bothering them at all. Does that make sense? And I'd like to have another way to look at it. One of the things that I have come to in my growth is forgiveness. And these things are causing a stretch.
Yeah.
I remember listening to Maya Angelou talk about somebody at a party of hers telling homophobic and racist jokes. And she went to them and she said, is that your coat? Who did you come with? Leave.
Mm.
You're spreading poison and I don't want it in my house.
Mm.
That's the way I'm looking at this. And I'm trying to, maybe I should not find a way to manage it so it's comfortable. I don't know.
Well, what's the one thing you know to do?
Okay, the one thing I know to do is to go back to my God is an awesome God.
Great. And?
Pray for him. Oh my God.
Yes, pray for him. Yes. But when you pray for him, who's getting healed?
Me.
Okay.
I pray that he is enlightened, that he has a dream some night.
Yeah.
And that he's enlightened.
Yeah.
And all.
Yes. And to even know, see, we want to do what's going to be helpful for our own psyche, right? Our own peace and clarity. So another thing about unforgiveness is it blocks the flow of divine wisdom. Like, what is mine to do? Or what is a divine idea right here? Or what is this prompting me to do? Here's something that I learned when I was becoming a coach, and it's something that we've all heard, but the way it was told to me made all the difference. And it's this: I must ask myself when I come up against something, how is this coaching me? How can I let this coach me? In other words, what am I going to make this mean to me? Because I get to say, right or wrong, I get to give meaning to all of life. It may not be everybody else's meaning, but it's mine because I act on what I believe. Isn't that true? We act on what we believe or don't believe. That's our reality. Not everybody else's reality, but we only live in our own reality. And the reality is right up here.
So it's all with purpose and we're all players.
Well, yeah, and we can't know. You know, we can't know what the final page in that book is about his presidency, for example. We can't know. But what we can do for our own heart and soul is pray for divine order, for example, to be unfolding. Or to affirm and know that no matter what it looks like, there's no place where God is not. So affirm and claim that divine order is in this too and unfolding. Any comments out there in the ethers?
Yeah, this is Kathy. I liked this paragraph that he wrote. I'm going to read it because to me it's just a good thing to anchor in. And it says, truth is that if you are manipulated by the news, then you become a part of the world's problems. But if you look out the window of truth and project a fountain of light and love, then you are a part of the solution. You become a peacemaker and a prosperity shaper.
Great. Thank you. It's a good one.
I have one.
What page is it on, Kath, so everyone can go to it?
On page 57 in the paperback. So it's in the chapter 3, Sig.
Chapter 3?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
I have one question. This is Eileen.
Yes.
My question is, if you're in that negative energy, is it always to be silent and not speak your truth?
No.
I mean, you don't have to tell people what to do, but I have a really hard time not saying something that is maybe of a better light than what is being spoken when it's so negative. So I usually say, you know, it's not my truth to live that way. It's my truth to live and love and be accepting, or words to that, with that in mind, because that way at least maybe you're helping somebody else in the room, you know. I mean,
it's not about being silent in the face of what is a denial or a distortion of a divine idea. You know what I'm saying? A denial or a distortion of a divine idea. It's not about staying silent in the face of that.
They said on the TV
Yeah.
with the 3 gentlemen, the officers who were part of the I Can't Breathe incident, that their silence was the same as endorsement. And so I think we have an opportunity to speak up in a kind and loving way when things are not of God's design.
Yeah, thank you.
Always be true.
Yes. Karen?
It seems like I have been in many positions lately where I feel forced to silence or lose a friendship. And I heard a guest on Oprah say, no, say, I don't see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I haven't been shut down.
It's okay to see things differently.
Yeah.
For me, I do believe that you can't change anybody else. You know, whether it's
Who can't?
the president or I can't change anyone else, whether it's the president, my husband, whatever, okay? The only one I can work on is me. But I also have to acknowledge and forgive myself because some of my behaviors are based on beliefs I grew up with or beliefs I have and so forth. So I have to forgive myself for that. But I also have to believe what Jesus said when he was on the cross. Forgive them because they know not what they do. And, you know, I'd like to see it differently for you. But then again, I'd like to see it from my view. And I can't do that.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close with prayer. Are you ready?
Oh, can I say something? Excuse me. Can I say one thing before the prayer? Thank you, everybody, because I heard from my husband and he is coming home this afternoon. So thank you for your prayers. Thank you.
Yay! Oh,
That is great. Thank you.
Isn't that makes me want to cry? Does it make you want to cry?
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, such good news. Oh, great. Well, let's pray about that. So we close our eyes and take a deep breath, and God, we just give thanks right now for Howard coming home, the miracle of a perfect surgery and recovery. We give thanks for all of the doctors and nurses who have been caring for him. We give thanks for all of the prayer that has been a part of his expedited healing. We give thanks for this time together and everything that we have all shared, for the richness of it, for the road that is opening before us to greater spiritual experiences and spiritual expansion. And so we go into the rest of our day with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. See you all next week.
Good class.
That's great. Courses that are the same